Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Sex and Suicide Podcast. We are doing episode number 2. It is Woman Crush Wednesday. And I'm here with my co-host, Vinny Chase, who is our tech guy. He's doing a wonderful job. We believe we're streaming live on Facebook. Don't count on that just yet. I don't know if that's true, but we think we are. And we've got little Miss Chris here, who is our Woman Crush of the Week.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Great.
Good. We figured that we'd start off Woman Crush Wednesday with one of the regulars that's going to be on the show. And little Miss Chris is going to be here. I appreciate you doing this.
No worries.
I understand that when you are the focus of a podcast and there's cameras on you, even if there's not many people watching, we don't know yet, it can be intimidating.
Of course.
So how are you feeling?
A little nervous, but I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. And we've got another guest, kind of surprise guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, sorry, my name is Brendan.
Okay. And Brandon's an observer tonight. So we want to encourage people in London, Ontario. Obviously, this isn't about me. This is about you guys. We want to make this about the guests that come on. Everybody has a story. For Woman Crush Wednesday, our whole sort of idea here is to try to get women to come on, discuss today's topics that are driving them nuts, typically fucking men. So that's the main thing that we're going to go for. How are you enjoying the single life, little Miss Chris? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your history right now?
Sure.
Sure.
I was in a relationship for almost 5 years.
Okay.
And recently single.
Recently single.
So it's been about 4 months now.
And how are you finding your wings again?
You know, everyone asks me that, and the only word I can get to is just weird.
Weird?
Everything is just weird.
Do you find that after a 5-year relationship, everything has changed considerably since you were single? What are you feeling?
You know, at this point, I mean, I haven't really put myself out there yet.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to focus on myself.
Sure.
I mean, after being with someone for 5 years, you have to try to find yourself again.
Absolutely.
You know, I became somebody in the relationship. Not that that's a bad thing, because, you know, it changed and I was willing to compromise, and you compromise a lot of things, which in turn change you.
Sure.
But right now, at this point, it's just all about me.
Right.
Yes.
How does that feel?
Feels great.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're finding yourself again, or even better,
Slowly.
like a new you,
Definitely.
potentially?
I don't want to say new you yet.
Mm-hmm.
But slowly I'm starting to discover things that, you know, I might have lost, things that I enjoyed doing that I didn't get to do when I was in the relationship.
Sure.
Not that it held me back, but again, the compromise. So you put away things that don't fit the relationship. So, you know, you do things a lot together. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's always about 2 people.
Sure.
And now it's just me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
having to, you know, understand that again, it's taking some time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of taking your time to get to where you need to be before you put
Definitely.
yourself out there again.
Definitely.
I think that's, you know, that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
There's always the other way to go, right? Which is just kind of
Jump right into it.
jump right into it. The
I've
best way to
heard
get
that a
over
lot.
someone is to get under someone,
Exactly.
right? I've never found that philosophy to work personally, but I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
What do you think, Vinny Chase?
Yeah,
you guys spend a lot of
absolutely.
time together, so
Yeah, we spend a lot of time together. Yeah, and no, I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
So already tons of empowerment for little Miss Chris.
Of course.
What do you want to see happen? I mean, I've got a general idea, and I really would like the contribution of everyone that's kind of watching. I see when you and I first started hanging out, when you became single again, it was great because I saw women would come over. We'd all have, well, not myself because obviously I'm sober, but you guys would have glasses of wine, and I really liked the girl chat. I liked the feminine energy that was around the house.
Definitely.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I see Woman Crush Wednesdays maybe focusing in on 1 or 2 people,
Yeah.
especially those that might have a story to share.
Yeah.
But also people coming around and being able to, like Brandon here, to kind of be spectators.
Yeah.
And what would you like to see out of an empowerment Wednesday for anyone that would like to come on the show?
Well, in a relationship or not, I feel like everybody should share their story.
Sure.
And I feel like everybody's story is important.
Yeah,
Just
I agree.
as important as yours and mine. You know, I myself may not feel like my story is that interesting, but to others, it is interesting.
Right.
And you know, I've talked to a couple women that kind of went through the same thing that I went through, and that was really enlightening to know that I wasn't by myself, and the choice that I made, it wasn't out of perspective. Like, what I did for myself was okay. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I questioned it for a really long time, and I still question it. Every day I question it. But
Sure.
I know that it was right for me. And I want women to understand, if you make a decision, stick to it. Because I've made this decision before and I went back.
Right.
And
I think that happens a lot.
It
I feel like that
happens a lot.
I feel like that does. They kind of, a lot of women, and I'm sure there's men that do the same thing, but they know that the situation isn't right for them.
That's right.
And they'll kind of dip their feet in the water a little bit.
Definitely.
But the moment that they don't feel comfortable, which is usually the time when you're going to make the most gains in growth, they pull their feet out of the pool and they go back to what was comfortable for them.
Sure.
So kudos to you for figuring out that it wasn't for you and having the strength to leave that situation. I think that's very strong and admirable.
Thank you.
So admirable. So do you mind sharing a little bit about what happened? Like, when you say you talk to other women,
Yeah.
and your story is helping them story, what part in particular? And we're not here.
Realistically, the part is just leaving.
Yeah.
Period.
So just gathering the strength and the courage to leave when you knew it
Gathering the
wasn't
strength.
right.
And you know, a big part of it for me was, I'm not one to, and I've never been one to want sympathy from others.
Sure.
I don't cry on people's shoulders. I rarely cry. So I just didn't want everyone looking at me like, oh, poor her. Like,
Sure.
Now she's single at this age. What are you going to do now? So that part was really hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to...
Do you want to share your age, or are you okay? You're
No,
behind?
I already did. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 33.
Okay, sure.
So...
As am I, for anyone curious.
Yeah.
We're the oldest ones in the room, I believe.
Yes, I think we are.
Yeah, no problem. Still young.
And that was hard for me too, to, you know, I don't know, just to think that, again, I'm going to be single now at 33, and the fact to start all over again is just going to be, you know, and I think about going on dates and someone asking me, so tell me something interesting about yourself.
Sure.
And I sit there and I'm like, okay, well, what do I really have to share with somebody?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, I work, I come home, yes, obviously, like, I have interests,
Yeah.
and, you know, I do activities, but for someone to ask me that in specific, I'm actually really nervous to go back into the dating world.
Really? How do you think
and to get comfortable again to share things like that, because where I was with, you know, in the relationship that I was in, I felt like we knew everything about each other.
Right.
And obviously that took time.
Sure.
So to start all over again really makes me nervous.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
But it's exciting too, right? It can be when you start to get those feelings again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major misconception in our society today, is that people think that good things don't happen to them twice almost. It's just like, if it happened to me once, maybe I won't have it again. And sometimes that gives them reason to hold on.
Right.
Not that holding on is a bad thing if they're typical relationship problems that everybody's going to have. I think that there's a lot of people that give up too early as well. But 5 years, you put in your time.
I did.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
go
Do you
ahead.
think that has anything to do with maybe a more romantic notion of love that's kind of
Changed?
seeped into culture through things like, you know, movies and Disney and all
What-
that stuff?
what do you
where-
mean?
Well, you know, you have this romantic notion of love where you meet the one, right?
Sure.
That's it.
So, well, I don't really. I think everybody's different in that sense, right?
Right.
But if the love is there, like, I don't think that this is what I'm getting at. In today's society, with apps like Tinder and Bumble and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
People are it's too easy to see who's chomping at the bit, and people kind of turn their back and want to see that the grass might be greener on the other side, but instead of trying to water their own first,
Right.
they jump across to that other fucking backyard before they even give it a shot. And that's something that's disappointing, because I do like to see, I think I am kind of a romantic at heart, and obviously I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I want to make sure that she gets the kind of love that my parents had. I don't know if I will, but you know, I want the best for her, and I want to believe that exists.
I think it's validation almost.
It's what?
I think it's validation. Right? I mean, everyone nowadays goes to, you know, they're having problems in the relationship, right? So now you have a problem with your significant other, and they're like, all right, well, what can I do? I post an Instagram photo and I get 300 likes.
Absolutely.
And I mean, to them, that means that they're valued.
Sure.
But at the same time, that value that they're assuming from that doesn't mean anything.
That's true. Well, you make a really good point because I see on Instagram it happens everywhere. You see people posting, obviously they're clearly photos for attention.
Right.
And if, like, people sometimes will say to me, oh, you know, I have more followers than you. And I said, great, you know, that's like being fucking rich in Monopoly money. Good for you. What do I care, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm still a firm believer that I'd rather have quality than quantity.
Definitely.
And I agree with what you're saying. I think there's too much of this artificial validation going on where people need, likes are almost like the likes by social media likes are similar to taking an antidepressant.
Or drugs.
Yeah, or drugs, yeah. It can all be kind of put in the same category. So good point. He's not just a pretty face, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you.
With your alcohol and my cheers. There you go. Or my tea. So, Vinny Chase, let's talk about you for a minute, bud.
Sure.
What did you think about everything that Christine had to say? Because you always have some interesting insights.
Well, I thought that, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'd be scared to go back. I'm already scared to date.
Yeah, how's your single life going?
Good.
Okay,
I don't mind being single.
you are on, you don't mind me saying this, but
No.
you're on Bumble, right?
Yeah, I'm on several dating apps.
Are you really?
I have been, yeah, over the course of the past year and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
So would you say Bumble is your favorite app?
If I had to pick between Bumble and Tinder, yeah, I would pick Bumble.
You pick Bumble?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
Just because I think there's a this is my opinion, but I think there's a higher caliber woman that you find on Bumble, just because of the way that Bumble works, where it's the women who initiate the messaging,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have these situations that Tinder creates, where you have one girl that gets messaged by like 600. 200 dudes. Let's not exaggerate too much. But
It's probably not that far of an exaggeration.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I feel like a lot of girls just go on Tinder just for that validation that you're talking about, Brandon. Where they just go on there and it's like, okay, let's see how many matches I can rack up. Whereas if you are taking the initiative to message someone first, like Bumble allows, then you're going to be looking for something. It's a much more I'm looking for something type app versus let's just see what can happen.
Okay.
That's what.
Versus basically a hookup app.
Right.
So how do you feel that apps like Tinder and this, or do you feel they're affecting relationships? It's maybe easier to penetrate a relationship than it once was? Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a ton of effects. Like, I mean, I think first of all, it makes it kind of trivializes dating in a sense. Because, you know, you can just swipe through hundreds of people on a daily basis. So
it's pretty superficial, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes it a bit superficial. I think, you know, there's some positive things too, like, you know, there's a positive side to that, right? I mean, now you can see 100 people a day, right?
I guess.
So,
yeah.
So,
I don't know. I don't do that. I mean, eventually you and I have talked about having some fun down the road and creating, like, you and I, maybe we do some contest or something.
Right.
And I get to create your Tinder profile. And you get to create mine, and you get to set up the dates and shit. And
we have to go.
Yeah, something fun like that, right? Because that way we're totally blind to it. We have to go on the date.
Right.
Maybe something happens. Maybe I'm totally proved wrong.
Hey,
I think
I'm not against that either.
you want. All right. I happily set up your Tinder profile for
I'd
you.
be okay with that.
Speaking of which, guys, I have to. This is what I want Brandon to do for me. So
there we go.
Yesterday, I started, after our first podcast that we did, you guys will find this interesting, that I was 69. Nice.
That's your number.
That's my number. So anyways, we did our first podcast on Monday night, and it ended up being more of a live sort of viewing show than anything else. This is a little more podcast sort of centered, but after that, I woke up the next morning, and I'll read you the message that I received, because it was interesting. I posted it for those of you that have me on social media. But the message that I did receive was, let me just see here. Okay, hold on one sec. I'm not sure where it is. But anyways, I'm going to find these because you're going to respond to them.
Okay.
So what happened was, someone ended up creating I guess it was a Craigslist ad.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it was, but I've got to find these numbers here. I should have had these ready to go. But I started getting texts like, "Are you still looking to hook up today? What exactly are you looking for?" From 3 or 4 different numbers here. So yeah, so here we go. So here's one that says, "Hey, saw your ad on Craigslist. What exactly are you looking for? Let me know if you're still looking to hook up today." So I'll let you respond to that.
Sure.
Yeah, you say whatever you want, and we'll have some fun with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why not, right? Like,
Yeah.
these guys, this is hilarious. I mean, a couple years ago, something like that would have bothered me. Who the fuck's doing this? But now, you guys are just creating content for our show. Keep go nuts, right? So.
Go, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it.
I'll give you, there's a few other numbers you can contact too, and we'll see. You can say whatever the hell you want.
You get some hot dates tonight, man. I mean,
Good, could be. Okay, here's the next one. This one, where was the other 519 number? So we had one from London. Where's the other one here? I'll find them. What's that? No, weren't you guys saying something before? Okay, this is what happens when you try to do 2 things at once. Okay, so here's one. Are you still looking on Craigslist? You can respond to that one too.
sure.
Okay, so anyways, back to the fun of Woman Crush Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see when we have other women here? What do you think that would be sort of the structure of this show? What would we want to discuss? What do you feel that men need to know about women that they are maybe ignoring, or perhaps we just don't listen? I think that's a common one.
Yeah, it is a common one.
Okay.
I think it's everything that women have, it's been the same thing over and over and over for years and years and years. I think men have a certain state of mind,
Nice.
and women have a certain state of mind.
Sure.
So what I like to do is just not have any expectations. So when things do go right,
Yep.
you are happy with them,
There's the
and
last one.
it surprises you, and oh, he did this for me. So I feel like women should not have any expectations. I don't want to say women shouldn't have any expectations. That's not right.
Sure.
Because you should.
Sure.
Standards
are different.
Standards
Yeah.
are different than expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're trying to get to know somebody,
Yeah.
it's different to expect things right away.
Sure.
Because a man is different.
Yeah.
You know, men think differently. Maybe they don't want to give as much as a woman wants to right away.
Yeah.
A lot of women, I feel, get really emotional and want to give their all of a sudden. And I feel like that's where we kind of flaw. It's a little bit of a flaw of ours, that we get attached too fast.
Right.
And I feel like men don't have that.
Well, that's almost a survival instinct for women, eh?
Yes.
They want to create a pair bond and find a mate. It's kind
It's natural.
Sure, absolutely.
It's natural.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like we're saying, things are different.
Things are different.
Women are developing these mental states like men now.
Yes.
Where that natural instinct no longer is so strong. So they're now in the world like, okay, well, I want to date too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I want to go on 5, 6, 7 different dates
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to tie me down. So what I want women to share their stories. How do they feel right now in relationships?
Okay.
If you're in a new relationship,
I agree.
a 5-year relationship,
Yeah.
or not in a relationship
Sure.
at all, right?
Yeah.
Or even if you've been married for 20 years.
Okay.
I have friends that have been married for 15 years.
Right.
And they're the happiest. I have friends that have been married for 10 years and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Kids or no kids.
Kids or no kids, absolutely.
no kids.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Would
I
you
want
date
this
a
to be
man with
fun.
kids?
I would date a man with kids.
Yeah?
Especially at this age. I feel
Okay.
like at this age, there's now, you almost can't expect no baggage.
Yeah.
You know?
Everyone comes with baggage. whether
Everyone
it's-
comes with baggage.
Kids,
yeah.
And
Always
it's
baggage.
either you accept
Yeah.
what's happening or you can't.
Sure.
So you need to decide that for yourself.
What age do you think that changed for you? Just because, like, whenever I think of dating someone
Yeah.
with kids,
Yeah.
kind of.
You shy away from it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very little.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But like,
You're younger though.
Right, but so I picture, 3, 4 years, maybe 5. I don't know how long, but I'm sure eventually, like, yeah, that'll be a thing where I'm like, really.
If
what
you're
does it
still
matter?
dating in your 30s,
But I guess my question was like, do you think there was a time when that changed for you? Do you remember?
see, I can't really answer that because
Yeah,
I mean
you've been-
I was 28,
Right.
going on to 29 when I started this relationship. So that kind of now I'm past that now. it's at a stage where I'm not dating men that are younger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who knows? But
Sure. It has been a trend for you.
it has been a trend. But
Nothing
now
wrong
I'm
with that.
looking, and it's okay because, well, now I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe try a man that's older.
Sure.
In, 38, 36, 35. And I have friends that are like, no, go younger. Why not? Don't stop yourself. It's not even about that anymore. It's just about, okay, now I want to develop a relationship with someone. I want to be someone's friend before I want to be a lover.
Before you want to spread your legs for them.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what we're getting at here.
I mean, I guess I was going to go back to what said there. It's like, at the end of the day, we're talking about, finding someone who has children or does not have children. But
Right.
isn't the more important question finding someone that you're compatible with?
Yeah.
I mean, whether they have children or not, is,
Right.
it's one of those things, right?
What a mature answer.
That's true.
Yeah.
You could learn the
That's
thing.
why I keep him around. That's
There
why
you go,
I
right?
make him talk.
You're a little older than
Right.
But you see, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't looking at it from that perspective, but maybe that's not compatible.
If
at
you
this
find-
age, at this age, like
Do you
maybe
think
that's
with
not
a
compatible.
woman, if
True.
you found someone and you dated this woman and you found yourself compatible, but then 15 minutes later she tells you she has a child?
That's the thing, right there, right?
Is that
That's the
Is
Is that a
thing.
deal breaker?
No.
Is that an
Is that a
absolute
deal
deal
It would
breaker?
depend. Like it's the situation. I guess my answer is the situation doesn't make sense. If I had met because
okay?
let me explain. So if I met a girl, let's say I'm at a bar, or I'm just hanging out with some
Sure.
girl, and we're
Or a
vibing.
guy, we don't
Oh,
mind. We're
you're
gender
fine.
neutral here.
You're
I
Whatever.
don't think this is good.
So
Yeah.
so we're hanging out, we're vibing, and then she throws in that she's got a kid, right? So that's gonna register up here. I'm gonna go, okay, a kid, right?
Okay.
So it's gonna put me
You
on
already
the-
put a fucking negative tone. You're like a kid.
right, but at the same time, like if we kept seeing each other and talking to each other,
Sure.
and it turned into something, then yeah, I would probably
Would
go,
you want to
okay,
know right
the
away?
positives outweigh the benefit.
I would say yes.
Right.
Just me, I would say yes. I think
What I want to
anyone
know
has
right
the
away.
right to
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're at the bar and you're both drinking,
Maybe not that night.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe a week down the road.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
Okay,
If we've been
yeah.
dating for a month and all of a sudden they come to your house
That
and
comes
there's
out of
a
nowhere?
toddler,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, okay,
is that your grandson?
Yeah.
you thought this was not important? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I think it's important to be upfront and honest, and I think most people are. But also, you don't care, like you're saying. I mean, if you make that connection, if something like that is a deal breaker for you, you could be losing out on a great connection without even exploring it. If that's, I'm not saying that you said that's a deal breaker, but I'm just saying.
right? No, and I totally agree with that. Which is why I would like Ipsnay it in the bud. Like I wouldn't just kill him like as soon as I heard. But at the same time, because I'm younger, I think it would register as a negative for me.
Okay.
Because I think maybe someone who's like 34 or 35
Sure.
would be like, oh, okay, she's got a kid, so there's a kid. But
Why does
I
that?
really like
I want to
her.
know why that's a negative. Just because what
Well,
if she?
it's a negative for me
Because you don't feel like you have your life together.
right.
Would
And
that
I
be-
mean, a kid's a lot of responsibility, and I would feel like if I was going into a relationship with someone who had a kid,
Sure.
I would treat that kid as if he or she was my own kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
which you should, but
Right.
at the end of the day, that single parent, like I know that with my daughter, I don't expect she has a mom,
Right.
so I don't expect anyone to come in and fill those shoes. I just expect them to treat her with the love and respect that they treat me with.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of women who would be like, listen, like I have a kid, you know that, but like I don't expect you to fill the role of his father. I think a lot of women would do that.
Sure.
I'm not sure that would completely satisfy me.
Right.
Because like I would still feel like I was in a relationship with a woman who had a kid, and if I'm coming down like every other day and I'm with this kid, like I mean we can call it whatever you like, but if the father's not around, I'm the dad.
Yeah,
Right.
I suppose. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
every situation is different. But the
Right.
majority of the women that I've met with kids totally don't want. They have their shit together.
Right.
They don't expect anything from you other than same thing. Like when they're at home with their kid or kids,
Mhm.
you have to kind of grow up and get over the sense of like, oh well, because she's at home, and I made this mistake by the way.
Okay.
When she's at home with her son, you should still be there and be hanging out with them. Rather, it's more important to be there hanging out the two of them than it is to be with your buddies at the bar. Like, this isn't a night off for you.
Right. Yeah.
I think not if you want something special. I think that
No.
needs to be, and I made that mistake when I'm totally open about that, where I felt sometimes like, okay, well, you know, she's got her son tonight, so I can hit the gym and I can do this and I have my time.
Right.
But that's not the proper way to grow a relationship.
Well, and I think there's kind of a disconnect in terms of experience and maturity when you're maybe at that, you know, tipping point age where you're just starting to date women with kids, where it's like, you know, like you said, a lot of women have their shit together who have kids.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And they're very independent.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
And they support themselves and their kids.
And protective
Right.
of their kids. Like, they won't even let you meet their kids
Yeah,
until
that's
they
the thing,
know that you could be long-term potential.
Right. So I think there's, just to finish.
Yes or no?
Okay. So just to finish, like, I think there's that, and I think that takes a lot of maturity on the part of a woman in a relationship. And if you're a guy just coming into that, it can, like, you're probably not going to be at that level of maturity where you have to care for someone on a daily basis.
If you haven't done it, before,
Right.
it takes some practice and some getting
Right.
used to. Absolutely.
Right. So I can see it being very easy to make that mistake.
When
Sure.
a woman is worth it, you will give it your all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes you might think that you're giving it your all. I know that in the past there was times when I thought I was giving it my all, and I was probably giving it, like,
Yeah.
looking back,
But
if I had
that's
just...
all experience and maturity.
It is,
right?
absolutely 100%.
You're gonna have to go through those points to get to the point where you are now. To
Sure.
realize, you know, I thought I was giving it my all, but I really wasn't.
Yeah,
That comes with wisdom and age and experience.
absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that having my own daughter and having a show like this, it's always like, okay, well, people might not understand, but my daughter's starting to look more and more like a little lady every day. So the importance of me sharing this sexual information, mainly about consent, because let's be honest, this year I forgot to bring up in the previous podcast we did, there was an incident in London where some fucking idiots wrote on the wall or on their window or something, "No means yes."
Right.
Could you imagine if, as a father, if my daughter had already been through a traumatic experience and I'm driving by there, I would fucking go livid.
Yeah.
Like, that could trigger her. Like, she might not want to go to school anymore because of something like that.
Right.
So it's kind of my mission now. Sure, I swear and sure I talk about sex openly and honestly, but at the end of the day, it's actually helped me to find more worth in my sex life and not be the guy that goes and gets lucky all the time.
Right.
And I hope that by being open and honest with her and by going around to colleges and universities and making sure that I beat the shit out of what consent means into their head, by the time she gets to college and university, I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, she lives 8 hours away, right? So I can only do so much from here. But anyway,
You're trying. You're doing it though.
Trying.
That's
I mean,
the whole
yeah.
point of this, right?
That's the whole. It really is
You
for
know,
the
if you
majority.
affect one person, the other person affects 2 people. Those 2 people affect 4 people. It's just it's a domino effect.
Yeah, and well, just the amount of people that even going around and doing the shows that I've done. For those that are watching that don't know, I did a tour in the fall promoting consent at a lot of colleges and universities in Canada. And some of the stories that I heard from some of the brave individuals that got up on stage, like women in particular, that were talking about how men didn't realize that yes, at some time in the, like, you can say yes, right? But if a woman passes out or changes her mind, that can be withdrawn at any time. A no is not, or a yes is not a full-blown steam ahead.
Right.
It has to be a very enthusiastic, sober yes.
Right. So.
Go ahead.
So
I just get worked up about it a little bit.
No, it's important, right?
Yeah.
And me and Brandon talk about this a lot because, like,
Yeah.
there's some horrible shit that goes on, like in frats and colleges. And
Well, we just talked about what
But
obviously.
that's part of our stereotypical university culture where we
Right.
all subscribe to the ideals that men can just almost do what they want. And
right.
the issue with this is when you talk about sexual assault and what happens on a university campus,
Okay.
it's almost like a university campus isn't law. When you think about a frat party, when you think about something that goes on downtown.
Okay.
So when a girl's dancing at Jack's, it's almost like it's free time for this dude to go up and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And she can say no, and he doesn't care because whatever. And it's only until another male intervenes or whatever, or maybe her friends intervene that something happens.
Or I've got a boyfriend. Or,
Right,
yeah,
but even that doesn't happen. Like,
Right.
how many times do you hear your friends that are females say like, "I have a boyfriend," and he's like, "Well, your boyfriend's," or she's like, "Your boyfriend's not here." You know, well, at the same time, it's like just, you know, men need to learn basic respect, and men need to learn how to fuck off in the same situation.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I'm seriously tired of seeing this downtown when you go out and, you know, you watch, you know, girls be attacked all night by men after men after men. It's like, okay, you know, there's nothing wrong with finding a female attractive.
Sure.
You know, if I go up to a female, I'm like, you are attractive. And she's like, well, I have a boyfriend. I'm going to be like, you know what, you're fantastically attractive. Have a good night, you know. Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Like, have a great night. I'm gonna walk the fuck away. Right. Like, I'm not gonna take her outside 50 yards away from the bar and try and do something that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And you know, you get into this, and again, I won't go to this now, but like you look at the statistics in terms of law and what's now becoming unfounded. Now, I was telling Sean here, you know, 1 in 5 sexual assault cases right now in London are claimed as unfounded.
Right.
And why? Well, you have something. Well, how much are you drinking? What did you do? And you know. And then you look at not even just that, but you look at, you know, when you look at what's happening in the States, and you actually have judges that are saying in open court, you should have kept your legs closed to prevent this assault.
Right.
And like, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with the world where you're telling someone who has no power over that, like, I'm sorry, but you know, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think that shows that it's really clear that the legal definition of sexual assault needs to change.
I don't know if it's
in a way, though, right? Because I feel like these people, like, you know, detectives who are investigating these sexual assaults, they have the, you know, victim, for I don't know if that's the proper word, in a room, and they ask all these questions, and it's like, well, you can't remember from here to here, and you can't remember having from here to here, and so we can't do anything. And it's like, okay, I get that, and in most situations, that would be sufficient evidence, lack of evidence, to say, okay, we can't do anything with this. But like when you have all these other factors, like, well, I woke up behind a dumpster, right? And yeah, there was like evidence of sexual assault on me, like, right, like physical evidence. It's like, okay, well, like, I mean, sure, she couldn't actually see what was going on, and she can't actually visually prove that there was someone assaulting her, but like, all the evidence is there.
And I guess I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think that what you're saying is incorrect. I would just take it a step further. We don't need to change the definition of sexual assault. We already know what sexual assault is. Yeah. I can tell you right now that if I was to touch someone that was unwanted, we know it's unwanted. So I think what we need to stop doing is living in a chauvinistic society where we believe that men are correct all the time.
Sure.
And that we think that when a woman wakes up behind a dumpster that nothing happens. I mean, come on. We all know. And we all know what happened, and it just needs to change.
So, Little Miss Chris, is any of this hitting home with you? Have you ever felt, I mean, if I'm going into gray territory you don't want to answer, by all means. But this night's about you. You're our woman crush, and we're kind of, not to take anything away from this, because I love to see men getting passionate about protecting women out there. So, ladies that are watching, always remember, know your limits when it comes to alcohol. Watch your drinks, and be safe. Protect each other, because it's a fucking dangerous world out there, even in our own city of London, Ontario here. So, yeah, absolutely. And it happens everywhere, right? And, I mean, I know last episode we talked about Donald Trump and his unapologetic ways for talking the way that he did about women, but that's a prime example of the chauvinistic society that you're talking about. So have you ever had any, or felt any pressure from men, I'm sure at the bars and things like that, and how did you deal with that?
Oh yeah, so, I mean, you know, the bar days, yeah, of course, and just like Brandon said, they'd come up to you, tell you you're beautiful, but then wouldn't leave.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of the times we use I have a boyfriend as an excuse to just get them away from us. Sure. Sometimes they don't leave, and sometimes they do. You recognize the respectable ones that say, okay, well, just want to let you know you're beautiful, also have a good night. Yeah. And then there's the ones, again, that say, I don't care, where is he? He's not here. Sure. So why isn't he here? If he's your boyfriend, why isn't he here?
Pretty creepy, right?
So creepy.
Yeah.
And then another thing, it is a little bit of a gray area. I have been touched by it, but what I want to tell women is it could be somebody you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be a stranger. Sure. I'll give a brief little scenario. It was, you know, someone that I was in a relationship with. Really? That I was sexually assaulted by. Wow. And, you know, at that point, it was, you know, during a breakup and whatever happened, and he snapped, and there was like that clear gaze in his eyes where it just wasn't him anymore.
Really?
So, and I don't know if this is it. At the time, Oprah was really big, and she would do a lot of shows about sexual assault.
Yeah.
And I just remember her voice in my head saying, you have to become kind of what they are at that moment. So you have to freeze with them, and you have to become on their level. So
did you snap too?
I it's not that I snapped.
Yeah.
I went, instead of me trying to fight, I went down to his level. I tried to look him in the eyes and be like, okay, well, if this is what you want, are you sure this is what you want? And you know what? If you really love me, you'll wait. Did it work? Not so much, but you know.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened. I waited until he calmed down for me to be able to sneak out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you ended up getting out of it though.
I ended up leaving.
Like, did you end up getting out unscathed, or is that sort of?
No.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But
Yeah.
I hate to hear that shit. And
Yeah.
it sucks. Like guys feel like when they're in that relationship that women become their property, and that's not the way to
what
look.
it was.
This is bullshit. This is a fucking terrible way to look at it, because
Yeah.
that other person that you're in a relationship with
As a person.
is absolutely a person, not your property. If you look at them as being your possession, you know what? It's not going to work. It's it's disturbing. Actually, it can be really disturbing.
You feel trapped.
So women and men. I mean, it does go both ways. We don't want to focus on just one here, but one more so than the other. It's just the stats. So it's really important that your partner respects you and wants to see you rise up in the world without kind of suppressing you and thinking that they can just treat you the way that they want. And that's something that I really believe. Do you agree with that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. The possession thing, if you're starting to see that sign of possessive behavior, I would say run.
And you know, a lot of the time,
Yeah.
they show these possessive behaviors right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it only gets worse through time.
Sure.
But they show you these signs right from the get-go. And a lot of women, and including myself, choose to ignore.
Okay.
Or maybe even choose to try to, you know, I can change him.
Mm-hmm.
The questions I would ask you for
Yeah.
everyone out there then, like, what are the signs? Like, tell me, like, what does a possessive guy do? Because, you know,
Okay, I'll give you a couple of
tell
examples.
people, you know,
Yeah.
so they know.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
If a guy doesn't like any of your friends,
That's right.
Okay.
that's one.
Just wants you all to himself.
Wants you all to himself.
Okay.
And finds a flaw in everything, or in everyone that has befriended you.
Sure.
Another one, when you try to build new relationships, you know, I'm, you know, doing my line of work, I'm a very personable person. I talk to people. I like making friends. I like meeting new people and, you know, developing friendships with them. I find nothing wrong with that. But when it's, oh, well, what do you need to be friends with that person for? What are they going to do for you?
Sure.
Another one is, okay, let's say, this is a big one. And I hear it a lot from girls all the time. When you've planned on doing something with your girlfriends all week long.
This is a big one for sure. I know where you're going with
All
this.
week long.
Yeah.
And this plan has been set for Saturday night. Well, Saturday night comes around, and all of a sudden you're fighting about something.
Sure.
Anything. It could be anything. All of a sudden there's an argument,
He doesn't
and it's
want
about
you to
an
go.
hour before you're supposed to leave.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, well, first of all, you don't feel like going anymore
Yeah.
because you're in a pissy mood.
Sure.
Second of all, you don't want to leave your significant other because then you're going to be thinking about them the whole time, and how are they going to be when you get home?
Absolutely.
Or third, you just feel bad and you don't want to leave. You want to sit there and console. So
Either way, you're trapped.
either way, you're
Yeah.
trapped.
And it can be sticky, because I remember in previous relationships, and it all really stems down to insecurity on my part.
Definitely.
Is if I didn't trust the person I was with, I wouldn't want them going out, because I would be scared of what could potentially happen and what they were
Sean, you
capable of.
shouldn't be with them if you don't.
And that's right. But I thought, you know, and even being younger, it's just like it was always an insecurity thing, and that's why I kind of took a step back for the last year and a half away from relationships and did a lot of the personal development I did. So that the next person I'm with, it's just like, you know what, you have your life, I have my life. Let's support support each other in your dreams.
Yeah.
There's no need to fight over the stupid shit.
No.
Life's too short, man. Fuck it.
Yeah. I'm a person too that I get over things really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with not being so emotional. But I don't know why, but my last 2 long-term relationships, the man has always been a little bit more emotional than me. And it's been it gets hard to deal with.
Yeah. That seems to me like you'd be someone that's really chill to date.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of guys would appreciate that. You just have attracted some people that maybe are...
Well, I feel like too, now that I look back at it, I feel like I was trying to save them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the nurturing part of me, of just naturally being a woman.
Sure.
I want to nurture. My mom was a nurturer. My mom and dad are still together.
Sure.
You know, and they nurtured each other, and that's all I have. That's what I see, and that's what I want to give.
Yeah.
So for me to find somebody that needs nurturing, I almost feel like, okay, well, now I have a purpose. Great. You know, I can nurture you until you're you know, this perfect man. But really, realistically, they're not your child.
No.
They're supposed to be your partner.
Right.
It's 100%.
50-50.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't get any of the nurturing back. It would always be, and that's where I would snap, where it was like,
stop fucking pouting and
stop.
I'm your lady, you know.
I'm your lady.
Yeah, take care of me.
Grow some balls.
Yeah.
And take care of me.
Sure, absolutely.
Because I'm taking care of you in more ways than one, and I'm giving you my all. I deserve it back.
You do, 100%, and it's great that you recognize that. Because a lot of women, if you're listening, they're probably in similar situations right now and don't have that strength to leave and pick up and walk away when they know that it's wrong for them. Maybe they do feel like he's going to change. And I am all for change if the person wants to change, but you cannot change someone. It is up to that individual.
That's right.
Yes, I cannot say it better.
Yeah.
Better than that.
And, you know, I'm not going to take away from past relationships that I've been through, because I've seen change in these men, and it was just like so little, and it took so long.
Just to be clear, what's little?
There you go.
We gotta throw some sex in here. It is a sex joke.
Right?
Yeah.
She got something out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it took so long for this change to happen that you just wait, and then you just get tired of waiting. And again, they can change, and they were changing, and I don't. It's not that I want to change anyone,
Sure.
and I know women don't want to change
Yeah.
men, but that's the compromise situation, right? So I compromised and I changed for you.
Yeah.
I need some compromise back,
100%.
and I need some
Which is so true.
give and take.
Yeah.
You know, and I just felt like I was giving and giving and giving, and there was nothing reciprocated.
Sure.
You know, the little things, fine. Like the everyday life was okay.
Yeah.
But it was the bigger picture.
But the bigger moments.
Bigger moments.
Yeah.
Like really big moments that made such huge impacts that, and again, I get over things really quickly, so I was able to move on from these moments, but they stay with you.
Yeah, sure.
They stay with you.
Yeah.
And then one day something big happens, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. It was like the last string, last
Sure.
straw, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
It was over.
It's one of those kind of forgive, but you can't really
It's
forgive.
like an aha moment,
Yeah.
you know? And I had a whole bunch of aha moments, but I chose to, you know, let them go because that's what a relationship is, right?
One of the most crazy philosophies or sayings that my dad ever said was, you know, you can chop at a tree as much as you want.
Sure.
Eventually, the one last chop, it's gonna
It's
take
gonna be
it's
taken
gonna take it down, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's
So
right.
it's the same as
Yeah.
a
I
person. I
agree.
mean, you
That's
can
amazing.
do whatever you want to a person.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant, but I mean,
Yeah. No.
at the same time, you have to respect.
I'm glad it's good
right?
though.
Respect the person,
Yeah.
and at the same time, everything you do, no
Mhm.
matter how you phrase it, you apologize, whatever. Like when
Yeah.
you're in a relationship, everything you do,
Everything.
the person's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
eventually, too much is too much.
You know, there was
or,
moments
something
where
happens.
the little stuff where I'm not, again, you know, obviously as a woman I'm emotional, and there are points in time where I'm going to be emotional, but the moments that I remember in this relationship that are bad are the moments that he made me cry.
Right.
Those are the big ones where you hurt me that much to make me cry. And okay, I'm a very realistic person. Women are gonna cry. I'm gonna get hurt. It's fine. But there's big moments that were very super very important to me.
Now, what I think is wrong with that is that you actually accept the fact that you're a woman and that you think that you should be made to cry. That's bullshit. I think that every man
Okay.
should be out there.
Physically, though, I'm going to tell you, as a woman, we go through something every month.
Yes, there's a time. Yes.
I understand that.
And I don't think enough men forget that. Like, it seems like they fucking forget.
There's a week, or there's 10 days every month where we are a little bit more emotional than your normal everyday
understand
woman. That's an individual.
I feel like
that's why I say women are emotional and they're gonna cry.
Do you think?
I don't ask them.
We don't.
Them.
Yeah.
We were commenting about that the other day. That he's like, oh, you came in here, and he's like, I didn't expect you to be this way, and he was like, I'm actually surprised and kind of proud. Like he goes, I just felt like you were super independent and you're okay, like you're fine. He's like, no, I didn't expect that. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what did you expect? Well, an emotional wreck, probably. Right? He probably expected an emotional woman to be coming in here and crying all the time and, you know,
but I
being
wouldn't think
sad.
that was bad.
No,
like I think it's completely like
and
normal
it's okay,
to be that way, right?
Yeah.
I was just more impressed that you.
But why?
That I wasn't.
And not why is
right.
that time. Sure, that's fine.
It's just nature.
No, but
nature.
Why are you
Nature.
recording them?
To clear everything up, we're talking about her period. Let's just fucking stop beating around the bush.
But I mean, at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, my girlfriend has her period, and I don't make her cry. She's not crying.
No.
But she may become more emotional than
before she gets her period. She's a little bit more emotional.
Right, but I'm not making her cry. And the point, I'm saying to you, I'm saying to you is that like men shouldn't just.
And that's what I'm saying. I started recognizing these points in the relationship where I was crying where I should not have cried.
Right.
And that's what.
So
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, so
I guess at the end of the day,
I want to know this though.
Where I was hurt where I shouldn't have been hurt.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, so do women go back through their memory bank? Do they scroll back and say to themselves, like, oh, was I crying because he hurt me, or was I crying because I was on my period?
No,
does that actually happen?
For sure. Really? Oh, of course. I recognize 100%. As a woman, you do recognize when you're a little bit more emotional than other times of life.
I feel like that's being very self-aware. I don't feel all women have that.
No, not all women. And it comes with experience and age, right?
Sure.
And everything that I've read and everything that I've gone through and other women that I've seen. I see 10 women a day.
Yeah.
I can tell when a woman is about to get her period or when she's on her period. I can tell, you can sense it.
I wish I could sense that.
I know.
I just
It'd be like a I want to learn. All right.
Sixth sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will. You'll develop a sixth sense.
Not that there's obviously. I think that men, we owe women everything. I mean, you poor things. You have to deal with this once a month, and I feel like we forget that. Not only do you have childbirth on top of that.
I'm gonna share this post with you at one point where it shows the cycle of a woman. The first week, second week, the week before her period, and the week on her period.
You're constantly going through this cycle, right?
Cycles, literally every 28 days. I mean, you guys are seeing it now where right before I get my period, I can't stop eating.
Yeah.
I'm never full.
Okay, but can I just say, like, I've never understood why there's this huge thing between men and women where it's like, oh my gosh, she's on her period now, like.
Okay, first of all, that's probably the worst thing you can say to a woman if she is on her period, correct?
Right, but that's how guys think.
You know what I mean?
But that's how guys think. And I get that, but like at the same time, like I think that's provides you a really great opportunity to be like the hero of that week. Like, does it not? That's how I look at it.
Or you, I guess if you're trying to be a hero, that might annoy them sometimes, right?
That's true. But I guess the way I look at it is that you should be here every day. Like at the end of the day, like every person who thinks that Valentine's Day is an opportunity to buy or do something for their girlfriend is stupid because you should be doing that every day.
Okay, hold on.
Like,
say that.
Okay, all right, here we go.
And
now as a woman,
not like buying roses every day.
No,
not buying like doing all that shit.
Every
just
day, right?
making someone know that
do Valentine's Day for. It's an appreciation day,
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that those dudes
that
don't do anything all of a sudden, you know.
But trust me, to a woman, when she comes home and there's flowers on the like, I come home and there's rose petals everywhere. Dinner is made and it's candlelit. I feel good.
Okay,
yes,
now,
it's Valentine's Day.
Now
there's hearts involved everywhere.
Here's the question for you.
You know,
Valentine's Day is one day a year, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it feel more special to you if you came home on a random September 17th, whatever the fuck it was, and all of a sudden it was there?
And I would
and
say
it wasn't
from
Valentine's
experience
Day.
and being in that relationship, it was. when I would come home and dinner was made, it was amazing.
No, but wouldn't you like Valentine's Day treatment on any day? Like, and that's the
You
thing.
should.
Is why don't
Technically, yes.
why don't men
You should.
understand?
Are you trying to get out of
Can I tell you
Valentine's Day
why?
though? Because I feel like that's not going to work here.
I can't get out of Valentine's Day.
No.
I promise you, it's gonna happen. But I'm just saying
I'll
that I
tell you
think
something.
that all
Right.
men should treat their
Okay.
girlfriends or their significant other like that
Right.
every single
Oh,
day.
Brandon.
No.
I'm an emotional guy. I am. I'm an emotional guy. I'm
Oh,
gonna
and
tell you.
also,
He's being a little over the top here.
All
I
I'm
don't know.
saying is, hey, I get it. You should be nice to your girlfriend like
Yeah.
every single day of the year, but like
Right.
that
That's
particular
all I'm
week
saying.
affords you great opportunity
Yeah.
where you can
That's-
do things that
yeah.
are appreciated
Bonus
in a
points.
very
That's
good way.
We're off Valentine's Day and back on a period.
We're back on a period.
All right.
Period.
I just want to go back to
Just to clarify.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're there.
Sure.
All right. So on that week,
It's just men need reminders. No matter how old you are, no matter how much experience you've been through, men need reminders. So Valentine's Day is a reminder for you.
I guess.
Yes.
Do something special for your lady that day. If you haven't all week, if you haven't all month, do something
If you haven't
special
all
for
year.
If you haven't all year,
Yeah.
You better do something.
You got some making up to do.
even a rose makes a difference. You don't have to get a dozen. You
No,
can
just a
get one.
single.
I'm
If you
sick
get
of
one,
roses.
Just make dinner. Light some candles. You know.
doesn't matter. You don't like roses, fine. Sometimes, my mom doesn't like roses, so my dad
Don't
gets
buy
her, other
Chocolate.
flowers. Chocolate.
Oh, I love chocolate.
Chocolate's
I love
always good.
Chocolate is good and an aphrodisiac, by the way.
Yeah.
And an
absolutely.
aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
That's why it's so popular.
Strawberries
right?
too.
Yeah. Strawberries. Just so you
There
guys
you
know, chocolate affects the same parts of the brain as cocaine and heroin. So.
Nice. There we go.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I don't drink and I don't do drugs anymore, but I
you
still
do
eat a lot of chocolate.
Oh gosh.
Well, that was fantastic. Speaking of Valentine's Day coming up, do you have any tips for the guys out there that are maybe struggling with last minute shit and then are just dropping the
Sure,
ball?
and
Is it last minute? I guess they still got a week,
well,
eh?
it's
Last
about a
minute.
week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just,
Yeah.
everyone knows their lady. If you have a special lady in your life, you know her your special lady. Do something special. It doesn't have to be flowers and chocolate.
Sure.
Cook dinners.
Appeal to her.
Maybe, clean the house.
Vincenzo.
Do
Okay.
the washroom. That's a
Are
big
these
thing.
hints around here? I feel like someone
Oh, I
should be
think-
taking notes.
For Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, guys.
Yeah, for Valentine's Day. Little Miss Chris, since you are single this Valentine's Day, we will step up to the plate for you.
That's sweet.
You're an important part of the show,
That's so
and
sweet.
we'll
Thanks,
make sure
guys.
that we take care of you. We are approaching the end of the hour here, so thank you for everyone that was watching. If you don't know what the hell you're watching, this is the Sex and Suicide podcast, or listening to, I guess, by the way. I always forget we're doing two things at once here. This was Woman Crush Wednesday, so any women that were watching that have a story to share, or if you have any questions, comments for Little Miss Chris, for myself, for Vinny Chase, or even Brandon over here, you can email us at sexandsuicidepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff. We are at Sex and Suicide Podcast. The other thing I wanted to announce is we've got an exciting show coming up on Sunday. It's the first ever Sunday night sex show. That will be 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I've got a really special co-host I want to bring in. She will be directly on camera with me, fully open to talking about these things. Her name is Randy. So Randy, we are looking forward to having you, my dear. And of course, we'll have Little Miss Chris and Vinny Chase and maybe Brandon. We'll have to see about that. Is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up here? No?
So,
After all that
Do
enthusiasm.
something special for Valentine's Day.
Yes,
There you go.
do something
There you go.
special.
Do
Do
something
something
special for you. There you go.
All right, so gentlemen, do something special for your lady this Valentine's Day. We'll also go over some tips on Valentine's Day when we do the Sunday Night Sex Show, and that's going to be more focused on, it's going to be focused on romance, but there is going to be a little more sex involved, and it could get pretty graphic. So,
Nice.
just kidding. Anyway.
I'm done.
Yeah. So thank you for everyone that watched on Bid Chat, all 230 of you tonight. We hope to see you again on Sunday at 10 p.m. And bye to everyone else that's watching. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
What's that?
We're just playing that.